After many generations passed following the time of Adam and Idris, humanity slowly began to change. The early generations had lived upon Tawheed, the worship of Allah alone. But as time passed, people began forgetting the teachings of their ancestors. Slowly, corruption entered human society. This deviation did not happen suddenly. It began with something that seemed harmless: remembering the righteous. Among those early people were several very righteous men. They were known for their piety, their worship, and their devotion to Allah. Among them were Wad, Suwa, Yahuth, Ya'uq, and Nasr. When these righteous men died, people mourned deeply. Then Shaitan whispered an idea. He suggested something that appeared innocent. He told them to make statues of these righteous men so they would remember their good deeds and remain inspired to worship Allah. At first, these statues were only reminders. They were not worshipped. But generations passed. Knowledge slowly faded. And eventually, people began worshipping those statues instead of Allah. This was the first widespread shirk in human history. Allah later mentions these names in Surah Nuh, verse 23 in the Qur'an.
وَقَالُوا لَا تَذَرُنَّ آلِهَتَكُمْ وَلَا تَذَرُنَّ وَدًّا وَلَا سُوَاعًا وَلَا يَغُوثَ وَيَعُوقَ وَنَسْرًا. When corruption spread across society, Allah sent a prophet to guide the people back to the truth. That prophet was Nuh, peace be upon him. He was one of the greatest prophets in human history. He is among the 5 greatest messengers, known as Ulul Azm. Allah sent him to call people back to Tawheed, to worship Allah alone, and to abandon idols. Allah tells us in Surah Nuh, "Indeed, we sent Nuh to his people, saying, 'Warn your people before a painful punishment comes to them.' Nuh stood before his people with a clear message. He said, 'My people, worship Allah. You have no God other than Him.' But his people rejected him. They mocked him. They accused him of being misguided. Still, Nuh did not give up. He continued calling his people to Allah, day and night, publicly and privately. Allah describes his effort in the Qur'an. Nuh himself said, 'I called my people night and day, but my calling only increased them in flight. Whenever he spoke, they would put their fingers in their ears. They would cover themselves with their garments. They refused to listen. They became arrogant.' For 950 years, Nuh continued calling his people to the truth. Allah confirms this in Surah Al-Ankabut, verse 14. 950 years, almost 1,000 years of patience, almost 1,000 years of preaching, yet only a small number believed. Among the believers were the weak and the poor, but the leaders of the society rejected him. They said, 'We do not see you except as a man like us, and we see that only the lowest among us follow you.' They believed that status and wealth determined truth. Eventually, the leaders demanded that Nuh drive away the poor believers. But Nuh refused. He said he would never push away those who believed in Allah. The message of truth was for everyone, not only for the wealthy. As centuries passed, rejection only grew stronger. Eventually, Allah revealed something heartbreaking to Nuh. Allah told him that no more people from his nation would believe. At that moment, Nuh made a powerful supplication. Allah mentions it in Surah Nuh, verse 26. وَقَالَ نُوحٌ رَبِّ لَا تَذَرْ عَلَى الْأَرْضِ مِنَ الْكَافِرِينَ دَيَّارًا.
My Lord, do not leave upon the earth from among the disbelievers a single inhabitant. Then Allah commanded Nuh to do something extraordinary, something that would confuse and anger his people. Allah told him to build an ark, a massive ship. But there was something strange. He was building it on dry land, far away from any ocean. As Nuh built the ark, the people mocked him. They laughed. They said, "Nuh has become a carpenter now." But Nuh remained patient. He continued building the ark according to Allah's command. Then the day finally came. The sign of the coming punishment appeared. Allah commanded Nuh to bring the believers onto the ark. He was also instructed to bring pairs of animals, male and female, to preserve life after the disaster. Then the skies opened. Rain poured down from the heavens. The earth burst with water from below. Allah describes this powerful moment in Surah Al-Qamar. The entire earth was covered by water. Mountains disappeared beneath the flood. The ark sailed upon massive waves, waves like mountains, and only those inside the ark were safe. During this moment, one heartbreaking scene took place. One of Nuh's own sons refused to believe. Nuh called out to him, "My son, come with us and do not be with the disbelievers." But the son refused. He said he would climb a mountain to escape the flood, but a wave came between them and he drowned. Even prophets cannot save those who reject Allah. Guidance belongs only to Allah. Eventually the rain stopped. The waters receded. Allah commanded the earth to swallow its water, and the ark came to rest upon Mount Judi. This event marked the end of the first great destruction of humanity. After the flood, humanity began again. The believers who survived with Nuh became the ancestors of future generations. For this reason, Nuh is sometimes called the second second father of humanity. His story teaches powerful lessons: patience, faith, persistence, even when people reject the truth. For nearly 1,000 years, Nuh continued his mission. He never stopped calling people to Allah. He never gave up, even when mocked, even when rejected, even when abandoned by most of society. And for that reason, his story remains one of the most powerful stories in the Qur'an. A story about patience, a story about truth, and a reminder that guidance always begins with a single voice calling people back to Allah.